Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and let's get right into the story. Here's the story of a man who spent 4 years on Jamaica's most wanted list as one of Jamaica's top shotters, none other than Delano Wilmot, alias aka or OC, otherwise known as Prekeh. Let's go. Cambridge, St. James. After escaping numerous dragnets, one of the country's most wanted men, who was 25 years old at the time, Delano Wilmot, alias Prekeh Bwoy, was shot dead by members of the Joint Police Military Team Security Forces during an operation in the bushes of Amity in Cambridge, St. James. The police says a M16 rifle and several rounds of ammunition were seized following the operation. According to head of the Jamaica Constabulary Force Corporate Communications Unit, Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, the confrontation between Wilmot and the security forces unfolded sometime around early morning, 7 a.m. Members of the Joint Security Forces carried out an operation where there was some exchange of gunfire, and at the end of this exchange of gunfire, an M16 rifle was seized and one male received injuries and later succumbed to those injuries at the hospital, the report stated. The Senior Superintendent of Police said that no member of the security forces teams were injured during the incident. Prekeh, the reputed leader of the Retrieve Gang, or the Prekeh Gang, who was from Retrieve in St. James, he was listed as wanted following the murder of Mark Williams in June of 2016. The police said that since then, the gang has been linked to no fewer than 12 murders and 11 shootings, to include incidents of shootings at members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force in St. James. The police would go there to try to see what is going on in the community. They were met by heavy gunfire coming out of the bushes from directions they did not know where. They had to run a lot of the times, leave the area, come back at another time. They were genuinely terrified of going into his territory. Since the implementation of the state of public emergency that is currently or was currently going on in St. James at that time, several operations had been conducted by security forces trying to get Wilmot. Wilmot and his cronies who lived in the woods proved to be elusive. More recently, the St. James Most Wanted man and his associates were also pointed out as people of interest in the July 9th, 2020 killing of Alistair Godfrey in Katadupa in the parish. The gang leader is said to have driven fear into residents of Cambridge and surrounding communities, which is where he and his outfit extorted, robbed, killed, and everything else. It was reportedly that common for the gangsters to be strapped with handguns and slinging high-powered rifles, to openly walk around like this throughout the community, even during daytime. Wilmot, who reportedly formed the Prekeh Gang and was wanted for numerous serious offenses including murders and shootings, initially appeared on the police radar during the reign of the notorious Ratty Gang. He was reportedly a former lieutenant in the Ratty Gang, which was led by Ryan Ratty Peterkin. Ryan Ratty Peterkin was killed, along with one of his alleged gang members April 14th of 2018 in a house in Berkshire District in Westmoreland after challenging the Joint Police Military Team in a gunfight. There had been a falling out between Delano, Prekeh Wilmot, and Ryan Ratty Peterkin, and Prekeh broke away from the Ratty gang and went and formed his own gang called the Prekeh Gang, and they both started to go to war, which caused misery in the area for many residents. On November 13th of 2018, Prekeh eluded the security forces again, who had carried out a massive operation in St. James in search of him and his cronies. An alleged top-tier member of his gang, whose name was Richard Anderson, who had the alias Cruz, was killed during that operation. During that operation, word got out to the media in Jamaica that Prekeh had been killed. It was later found that it was not Prekeh. Prekeh had escaped. Cruz had been killed. Prekeh went on to put out a series of videos swearing to avenge the death of his friend Cruz, and said that he was going to kill many police officers for Cruz. At the time, Anderson, who is alias Cruz, he was also listed as a wanted man by the East Kingston Police. The police recovered one Panther arm, AR-15 rifle during that operation, in which Wilmot was theorized to have been shot, but he was not. 2 months earlier, 2 JDF soldiers were shot and injured in an operation to capture these 2 gangsters. However, Wilmot and his cronies managed to escape after shooting the soldiers. A team from the Independent Commission of Investigation visited the scenes in St. James, and according to the Director of Complaints for the Commission's Western Division, Errol Chatu, he said that Indicom had processed the scene and had received initial accounts from members of the security forces, and they were doing their due diligence of investigation. It was said to be a long list of murders that were attached to Prekeh's name. Jamaica's then most wanted man, Delano Prekeh Bwoy Wilmot, who was shot and killed during an operation by members of the security forces in Cambridge, St. James on Wednesday morning. It was a Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. He had figured extensively, been on the police radar for over more than a few years. Statistics would have it that usually when someone ends up on Jamaica's Most Wanted list, they are usually either captured, turned themselves in, or they are dead within a year of their name being placed on the list. Prekeh had been one of those who was on the list for years, and therefore had started to grow some kind of a folklore among the Jamaican population, like this is the one that they can't catch. He disappears. There were stories being made up that he would frequently go to Haiti, hide out in Haiti, and then come back to Jamaica, and that his voodoo or obia that he was using was powerful. because it wasn't the Jamaica Fenke Obia. He was going straight to the source in Haiti for some powerful duppies to surround him. This is the reason why he was able to elude all these dragnets that law enforcement in Jamaica, both police and soldier joint missions, had failed to catch him on many occasions. And in 2 occasions, they had actually shot soldiers and gotten away. Wilmot hailed from Mother Lane Retrieve in Cambridge, St. James, and he emerged from the once notorious Ratty Gang, and he operated mainly out of Cambridge, and he was a source of terror across sections of St. James. Now, having split ranks with the Ratty Gang before the death of its leader, who was once his friend Ryan Peterkin, at the hands of the security forces, Wilmot went on to form his own Prekeh gang. Among his reported escapades was also the shooting of a Jamaica Defense Force soldier in 2017. He was also wanted for other shooting. He was known as the proverbial boogeyman who eluded many security forces dragnets because they constantly went after him, yet constantly failed to capture him. In his last days, he had put out a video from an unknown location speaking about arms that he had gotten from Haiti, and one of them was able to boom down concrete walls, and he was going to use it on some of these police stations and kill off a whole heap of police. 10 months after the death of her son, Beverly Brown Wilmot, the mother of Delano Wilmot, aka Prekeh, she had said that she was satisfied that she as a mother did all that she could to raise a law-abiding son. But despite her efforts, she could not influence his decisions as an adult. 25-year-old Wilmot, who reigned terror on the corridors of rural St. James, was gunned down in Amity District in the parish after eluding the security forces for well over 4 and almost 5 years, while leaving a bloody trail behind him. However, his 57-year-old mother, who worked as a housekeeper, still regrets that her 4th of 5 boys did not heed her pleas to surrender when he became public enemy number 1. I would have preferred that him did carry himself in from day 1, but he made that choice to be out here until his death. He was just stubborn. This is what she told the Jamaica Gleaner in an interview. When you raise your children and you provide right principles and they become adults and choose their own way, what can parents do? He didn't get in trouble as a child. He got in trouble as an adult. Delano wouldn't hear me. He wouldn't hear me. If he did, he would be alive today. I tried and I tried, but not even his own little son would make him consider going in. I even got a lawyer and I told him to turn himself in. I had no control over what he did. I did my best. According to the record, the gang leader drove fear into the residents of Cambridge and adjoining villages such as Top and Bottom Retrieve, Amity, and Katadupa, where the gangsters committed a number of serious crimes including shootings and murders. Prekeh was reportedly a lieutenant, as we've said before, in the Ratty Gang, and once they split and formed his own Prekeh Gang, it was all guns up from there out. The mother said, "My son and Ratty, they were good friends. I have known Ratty's mother from when she was a little girl, living right here On Mother Lane, Brown Wilmot, who is Prekeh's mother, said she grew up with Ratty's mother, and Prekeh and Ratty grew up together as well. So it is not as if I have been defending my son, claiming that he is not a gunman. I would see him and his friends with their little guns, and when the police come in the area, they would run into the bushes. And I told Delano, that the only people who should have a gun are police and soldiers and a private firearm holder with the right paperwork to hold the firearm. But I guess he had to walk with his gun to protect himself because of the kind of life he was living. Brown Wilmot believes that her son's defiance might have been triggered by the pain of the death of his father, Ralbert Alexander Wilmot, in 2012, who she said was killed innocently after he was caught in a crossfire between persons who were feuding over a gun purchase that had gone bad. This is how Prekeh lost his father, according to his mom. The family does not believe that the police did a proper investigation into the shooting death of my husband, something that might have contributed to Prekeh resisting calls for him to surrender. He was bitter, and he had made up his mind to go out in a blaze of glory. 4 years after Delano's father died, I was at work, and I heard that he was wanted by the police for murder of one in connection with Father Wilmot's killing. Brown Wilmot said she couldn't say how her son and his friends came by the guns, but admitted that in the early stages she was told that her son was involved in lotto scamming as well. Let me back up this part for you. She said 4 years after her husband's death, she was at work and she heard that Prekeh was wanted by the police for murder, for the murder of one of the individuals who was involved in his father's killing. So what he did as a teenager was, or as a young man, he avenged his father's death, or so he thought he did. She went on to say that the police said that he was also involved in lotto scamming. However, for her, this was a bit surprising. And although he was smart, he could not read and write effectively. He used to give a lot of talking, and he would just be in the classroom and he would throw a piece of paper and playfully do things to distract other kids. Then he would laugh. He just loved to give jokes, that's all, never give trouble. Brown Wilmot said that her family was a target during the state of emergency, which has left many emotional and a few physical scars. She also claimed that her son got more support from community members during his time as a fugitive than he did from her, because she was afraid. Bad man coming after her, gunman coming after her, she was afraid. And they wouldn't let up on her, constantly searching her place, so she couldn't really help him even if she wanted to. But the community, who has known him his whole life, they helped him. They hid him. They fed him. They kept him safe. I spent 8 weeks in jail. 8 weeks I spent as his mother in jail at the Falmouth police station just because I am Delano's mother. I represent every struggling mother who hope and pray every day for their children to turn out the right way and keep on the straight and narrow. She also said that she and her children were beaten. I'll know my spine is still acting up from that time. Them beat me. The security forces believe I was the one that was cooking for him and bringing him food and giving him a place to hide. But it wasn't me. I was too afraid to do it. But there are those who live here who loved Delano dearly and didn't see him as a terror. But at the same time, there are others who never liked him, and then there were those who really feared him. I was afraid, so I didn't hold any conversation with my son. On Mother's Day 2020, he came to look for me, and I asked him, I said, "What you doing here?" And he said, "Mom, what do you, man? What do you? It's Mother's Day, so I have to come look for you." And she said by the time she turned around and looked around again, he was gone. According to Brown Wilmot, one of her sons spent 91 days in jail under the state of emergency, while others were left walking with a limp from a bullet still lodged in his body, as a daily reminder of the ordeal that even the innocent in her family had to face, as Prekeh gained international notoriety across the country. I raised him up in the fear of God, and he was baptized at the age of 12. His mom, who praised her church family at the Retrieve Seventh-day Adventist Church for the level of support throughout this whole ordeal. She said, "God is so good because I prayed a lot and I knew that anything could happen to Delano. So I asked God to keep me and don't let me drop down whenever it happens. So I was ready for this to happen." She continued. She said, "I pray and I asked God for closure, and it came when I lost him. I couldn't manage it anymore. You were being judged when you walk on the road, the eyes them, and even while persons would not say much, you felt as if you failed as a parent. But the Lord knows that I tried and I tried my best." Prior to his death, Brown Wilmot saw her late husband in Delano's company in a dream, him and his father chilling together, and she took that as a sign that her son's end was near. I was at work, and I heard the explosions, and all I said is, "Yes, Delano, I hit this." Then she looked away, but showing no emotions. As a mother, I felt it, but I knew that he was dead. Now he's gone. Now there is closure, and I can move forward and serve God. Family therapist Dr. Beverly Scott believed that based on Brown Wilmot's account of how she raised her son, there is nothing more that she could have possibly done to make things any better. She said that parents are not responsible for their children's behavior if they have grown up and decided to turn to crime and violence. Those children will need to answer for their own actions. She noted that in a family where there are no father figures, boys will listen to their mothers when they are pretty young. But by the time those boys start hitting 14 years old, when their mother speaks to them, they walk away as if they don't care. This, Scott said, is also true, even when fathers are present, largely because they do not see their mother as their hero or as that masculine strength within the home. She also said that when children are traumatized, they feel like victims, and many of them don't remain victims, they become predators. He is a victim of his father's death. Maybe he felt it so much that he decided that nobody was going to kill him either, like how they killed his father. So he stood on that business. We're going to leave this one right here. Listen, we don't do this story to glorify badness. We do this story to show that bad things can happen, and that we must, regardless of bad things, make the right choices. I'm out. Peace. Peace.